Is this going to work? It's not. It's just, yeah. Everything is out. This thing's so. Making Swiss cheese out of Swiss soup. Where do we start? I had a bit of a thought. I'm probably overthinking it, but that body is there's nothing there holding it in any place. There's no reference. Everything's out. The door jambs, the quarter panels, everything it's a mess. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed properly. Hear me out. Subframe, full piece. They're obviously aftermarket, so they are going to need to have a little bit of manipulating here and there. But what I'm thinking is, if I can lay these out on the table, getting them shimmed, level, everything that needs to happen in order to make them sit on this table in the factory position, and then we're gonna fit it and fix it to this table. Then I'm gonna take that whole body and I'm gonna fit it over top of this subframe, and I'm gonna try and pick up all the factory points. That way I can go in and then I can steel out the body. But what I mean by steeling it out, I'm making a bunch of braces every which way to hold that thing rock solid where it should be. That way I can then remove it, these stay put on the table, and I can go and I can trim and fit the body over top of that frame. I need to essentially get that thing squared up completely so that I can trim out the bits to get it over top of the floor, to get it to that desired height that we want to channel it, which is about that 2.5 or 3 inches, I believe. And then we can see if we're going to use these or use a portion of them, or if we can just utilize something to make and fix it to the side pieces that we have made over top of that 32 frame. All right, we gotta do a whole lot of measuring. Where is my paper? My paper. I was going to go ahead and kind of weld everything in, but I'm not going to. I'm actually going to use our little clamps. These are for like a fixture table. And I'm just going to drill some holes and put 3 fixtures where the shims are to make sure everything stays level. So these things work really well in the idea that they kind of clamp down. So if this was sitting on there, I'm going to drill a hole here. This is where having those fixture tables with all the holes in it would be very ideal. So they use these little steps, and then those steps catch on. They sit down on the table, your bolt goes through here and will clamp down, and it will essentially make it so it holds into place. There we go. So that tightens down and we'll hold that into place. Over to the body, everything is out. Like the doors are out, 20 mil. Everything's kind of crooked, and you know, I won't go into it a ton, but it's just, yeah, we need to try and straighten out the body before we do anything. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to remove the doors, remove the cowl. I know it sounds crazy, but I want to get the cowl situated on top of the sub rails and squared up, and then we can bring the back half of the car and actually sit it on there and then square everything up. Then we know we get all the gapping right for the doors and everything can be sort of fixed into place. Then we can go through and build a better structure that will hold everything together, including the quarter panels, the rear trunk. It's, you know, I'd love to just cut everything and just sit it over top of it and call it a day, but we need to kind of go back a step in order to move forward in a few steps. And the good thing is I'm hoping, my idea is once it's all has like a subframe through it and weld a couple structural pieces in there to make sure the body can't go anywhere, we should be able to lift the body off those sub rails, and then there's nothing intruding along there, and then we can go over to the frame, slide it down, get our fitment, get the size of the channel we want. Then we can figure out whether or not we are going to use those sub rails in that area or if we're going to have to build something. But at least everything can sit down, the doors can open, they can latch. We know it's supposed to be where it is. So that's my goal, is to try and get this squared up in the position where it needs to be. Then we can start to get it on that frame. We do not want to twist any of the hinges. Okay. All right. We are free there. Ha! Okay. Making Swiss cheese out of Swiss soup. Is that a thing? Swiss soup? Yeah. No broken backs. We're hurt. All right, so now I just need to work on cleaning all that area up so I can get it ready, and then we'll fit that portion to the rest of this frame. And I've lost my fab table. Transmission, trimming, lots of trimming. It's just gonna slide over the front. So, good thing is we have a reference now.
outside of that?
Yeah, should. Doesn't want to.
You can give it herbs if you want.
No, don't do that.
We're up here, eh?
Yeah. So something like that. Yep. Said I can't take it off the table now until I do all the fucking repairs. There's so much to do. Isa. So I'm just going around trying to make sure everything is square and where it's supposed to be. So now that I have it this way with the cowl, the door openings are where they should. I've tested that door. It needs a little bit of tweaking. The door skins unfortunately have to come off and I have to redo them. They're way too flat. They don't have enough curve in them. Surprisingly, these bodies, they might look really flat and they think the doors are, but they have a lot of curve in them. So they will have to come off, but at least we can get it in an area where we think. And what I'm gonna do now is I'll jump in and just try and reference side to side and see if we can get this thing sort of set up so we can start putting a few support pieces across to the A pillar, the B pillar, and a few crosses as well. That is like, couldn't be any better. Who needs a laser when you got a ratchet strap, a 30-foot long spirit level, and a right angle that's probably not true? Need to get in there without touching anything. Where's me milk crate? All right, so we've squared up as much of the body as we can for what we have here. And what I want to do is put in a few braces along here and start to, make sure everything is square where it should be. I want to weld it in when the doors are actually shut. So I'm going to jump in here, I'm going to shut the door, put our little cleco on the outside. And that way, nothing should change. Everything should stay where it should go. cut this guy. A lot of guys will just weld this in, hold it, tack it, and you know, because it's all getting cut out. But I like to make sure everything is measured and square, and that just goes again when you go to try and line everything up. At least you could utilize these, I guess, as reference points. But maybe it's an OCD thing. I don't know. I just feel like if you just hold it in and weld it, maybe it doesn't give you the same reading as you'd want. Oh yeah, locked and loaded. She's in there. Nice and tight. Hopefully I can just take this all out as one piece. Trim these guys, the areas where it's mounted, and then just whoop, stick it straight up. Wouldn't that be handy? Otherwise, go in there with a angle grinder and go to town. This stuff's really cheap. And again, you guys have commented, in Australia, all the material comes with this blue coating on it. There's a word for it, can't think of it, but it's just basically like a weld-through primer that allows not everything to oxidize and rust. It's kind of weird. I'm not really used to it. You can remove it. It's not too hard to remove, but for this type of stuff, it's fine. I just kind of wish they chose a different color. Like red oxide would have been cool, but it's this weird blue that I hate. Hate blue. Love early blue, like Washington blue, but this type of blue, nah, not me. Not me. Okay, let's go to the back. You can see there is no gutter compared to the other side where it does have the actual lip over on the quarter panel as well as the gutter system fitted to it. So over here we've just got a bare quarter panel. It does have the lip over, but everything has been trimmed out, so it doesn't exist. So we need to fabricate up a new one. I'm going to try and reference it off that side as much as possible to make sure that it is identical to that side so that everything will kind of correlate when we go to put the trunk panel in. So I have my nice little strip here. This was actually cut. I have quite a few different pieces of these, but I use them for straight edges. They work really well, so they get stored down in the fab table. So I just pulled one out, gave it a clean, and this is ultimately going to be the piece that we are going to use to be able to trim. So. Okay. Nice, even 90 degrees. So now we have our piece. Yeah, that's a nice radius. That's what we wanted. So now that we have that, now we need to sit on the stretcher and start shrinking. So for the first one, I'm just going real light, trying to stay consistent. I'm going a little bit deeper towards the bend. And so if I need to shape it real tight, I can always work out to my edges. But so look at that. That was just with 2 seconds on the kick shrinker. So you can see what it does. So now we can go up here, reference where we want it. Might even try and mock this up a little bit, and then I can see where. So now, again, hopefully you guys can hear that. That's one of the boys across the road. He's a landscaper, and he shows up to that song almost every morning. It's pretty incredible. If I'm looking at this, I'm gonna say we need to start to do some real good bends. We want to start thinking in this area. It's gonna go between the ones we've done. Okay, so that's made a lot already. So we'll stick this back in there. Have another look. Looking real good. We still need a lot in here though. That's okay. All right, so we've got a really nice profile where we want it. There's a little bit of area here just where we've shrunk it. It's kind of lost the 90 degrees. It's kind of opened up a little bit. So we just need to form that over. We can just use a little hammer and dolly. For the part where I needed to stretch this area, because if you can imagine a piece and you shrink it too much, it's obviously going to want to kind of fall in a little bit as well, so it loses that true 90 degrees. So I was just able to run this through the English wheel a couple of times, and it really brought it back, which was very ideal. And then we'll be able to clamp this into place and get a few clicos in there, and then we'll be able to scribe a line so that we can then come in and get these connected all the way across. We are getting very close to being able to fit this. And then like this back section's, you know, getting really close. There's lots of to-dos around these corners. There's a little bit of damage and we'll have to replace a little bit of that. But if we can essentially get this covered and get that back panel sort of mocked into place, we'll definitely be, you know, having a win. So footings are in. So the majority of all these measurements check out within kind of 0.2 of a mil, and I'm happy with that. I like the layout of it. Everything looks nice and straight to the other one. Our gapping with that trunk was good. So run this across. And that is going to give us the line that we need to trim. Be very careful, get the cleanest line we can, so that when we butt these up together, we have really good fitment. That is bonus for best weld, best fitment possible. Spend as much time as you need to do your fitment in order to have your weld really weld. All right, so after we finished tacked everything, I've just gone over and I've actually hammered and dollied all those tacks down nice and smooth, making sure we have a really even surface the whole way down. I just used our little slapper, a dolly that I could get up in there from the back side, and then just our standard hammer. Another thing that I did, I have drilled the holes for the gutter, but I haven't put the gutter piece in yet. I'm not gonna stick this in until we're done finish welding and hammering this out, because I noticed I put the trunk lid on and it's not quite perfect. So I took some of that straw board. You guys have seen me use this lots before. I believe this is the 24 ounce, and I've just packed it on both sides with a couple more strips just to make it a little bit more rigid. But this is realistically going to give me a gauge of that quarter panel that I know fits really well to that trunk lid versus the one that we have here. So this one, if once I do my measurements both sides, I can put it on. I know that there is a high point here, and we have quite a bit of excess underneath this side and back here. So once we have it fully welded and hammered out, I then need to go, and I should be able to get the shrinker
or the stretcher inside here, and I can just manipulate it just a little bit in order to make it identical to that other side.
We got our air just to cool our welds, and we are really ready to rock and roll. Got some filler rod here. This is just MIG wire that I've thrown in the vise and spun it with the drill that you guys have seen me do a lot. And we are going to be good to go. So we probably want a little bit hot there. Tell me in the comments if this is a good strategy. Be nice to know what you guys think too. Maybe I should just fully weld the whole thing and it would be fine because of the amount of the bead that we have on this side and the amount of material we have here, but I'm just sort of worried about it bowing, that's all. But would love to know what you guys think. right, so we got the majority of our welding all finished off, and I'm just starting to start and finish the hammer and dolly work that we need to do to that weld itself. And then we are going to get in here with that shrinker stretcher and manipulate it just a little bit in order to match that other side. Having said that, I think we're going to end the video here, and we are going to, in future episode, be continuing to work on some of the bits that need to be done. Once this piece is fitted in and we get that trunk back in and gapped properly, then I can fix it into place, which means this back end will not be able to move. As well as I will run a couple of bars across the wheel wells and from our front section back. So once that's done, fingers crossed, on the next episode, we will be having this thing over top of that new floor that we had made on the 32 frame and channeling it that 3 inches that we want to do. So I'm really excited to get it, one, off the fab table so I can get my fab table back, and two, just being able to see all that work that we've kind of put into that floor in order to get that desired look that we want. And, and then there's a ton of stuff we still need to do to this. Lots of work to the roof. We still got tons of metal finishing to do, lots of grinding, lots of welding. We got that wood kit, so we need to pull that out. That'll be on a future episode as well. I would really like to get the overall metalwork finished on this so that we can then fire it off to an outer source to be able to do all of the body work and paint that is necessary. So it's, we got a long road till then, but it's going to be a lot of cool and exciting pieces that are going to be kind of put into this. We got a lot of custom things we want to do with that bottom belt line to match that 32 frame. So we're going to be on the power hammer, making dies, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. It was a lot of work to kind of get it to this stage. It might not seem like it. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit notifications, and as well, keep submitting all of your projects to this email right here. And Ben and I have been looking every time. We're still getting tons of emails every day coming in with submissions of great projects that you guys are creating at home. Make sure you keep submitting them in. For a chance to, have a nice little Bennett's gift package sent to your front door at the end of the month. But anyways, we'll see you guys next week on Bennett's Customs. Cheers, guys.